Howdy, today on Flippin Science, we're looking at root structure in plants.
I've got no roots, but my home was never on the ground. I've got no roots, but my home was never on the ground. I've got no roots. I've got no roots. I've got no roots, but my home was never on the ground. I've got
So the science understanding we're going to look at in plants, the uptake of nutrients and water is facilitated by the structure of the root system. So there are simple plants that don't have root structures. We're going to look at plants that do. And plants that allow specialized transport systems, we call them vascular plants. Vascular as in veins, like we have. In a vascular plant, you have a few different parts. You have the stem and the leaves. They make up what we call the shoot system. And underneath the ground, you have the root system. So the roots collect water, minerals, nutrients from the soil water, and they absorb that, and then they can transport that up to the shoot system so that the water and nutrients can be used by the rest of the plant in the process of photosynthesis in the leaves, but also in growth as well. So in vascular plants, water, minerals and sugars need to be moved between different parts of the plant, and that's done by this transport system. The transport system is made up of two structures called xylem and phloem. So water and minerals, so the water-soluble stuff, that's transported by xylem. The larger compounds, like sugar and other larger organic compounds, they're transported by structures called phloem. So it's a tissue structure that exists all the way through the plant, in both cases xylem and phloem. And they're found all the way through the vascular plant, from the roots all the way up through the stem and then into the leaves. Because they're transporting materials, all of the parts of the plant need to get those materials. So the xylem and phloem are found there. If we have a look, we can see some of the differences between xylem and phloem. So xylem is a one-way system, so transporting from the roots to the leaves. The phloem is two-way, so you can have a flow of the sap going up and down through the phloem. We can see here the presence of the xylem and phloem in the different structures. So in the root, we can see the xylem and phloem in the middle. In the stem, we can see the xylem and phloem circling around the cortex of the plant. And in the leaf, we can see we have a xylem and a phloem bundle in the main vein of the leaf, and then smaller side veins with xylem and phloem present. If you have a look at a tree stump, you can see the xylem and phloem. Not easily because they're microscopic, but you can see where they are. The xylem is more on the inside, and it's made up of dead tissue. Once the cells make the xylem, they stop living, they don't need to be there anymore, and they produce a hard coating on the outside made of lignin, so it solidifies the structure. So the xylem aren't living, the phloem however are, and this is why if you want to kill a tree, what you do is you cut around the bark, that's called ring barking, that cuts off the phloem, and that means these sugars and larger organic compounds can't be transported anymore, and that kills off the plant. So today we're going to focus on the xylem and the root structure of the plants. The xylem transport water, and the plants absorb that water from the soil, and that happens through the roots. So we're going to focus on the xylem today. If we look at the root structure, we can see roots have these root hairs. So these root hairs all the way around. If we look on this diagram, we can see them as well, and over here we can see them too. These root hairs are extensions of the epidermal cells surrounding the root, and their job is they increase the surface area of the root. So again, we're seeing how increasing a surface area can increase the rate of absorption. In this case, we're absorbing water, minerals, and other nutrients from the soil. So by having these root hairs, we get a larger surface area. The water comes in either through the root hair, through those cells in the epidermis, and then into the xylem, or it can make its way between the gaps of the epidermal cells into the xylem. And then from the xylem, it gets transported up towards the top of the plant. We're going to look at how that happens in another video. So let's talk about roots. There's two main types of roots. You have a taproot, which is where you have one large root, and then you have branching smaller roots off of that. And you have fibrous roots, where you have multiple large numbers of roots spreading out from the base of the stem. Both of these are very common. Either way, you get a large surface area for absorbing. These smaller roots that come off of a taproot, for example, you have all the surface area around the root, but then you also have the root hairs as well. With a fibrous root, you have a large surface area since you have so many small roots, and again, they all have root hairs in the epidermal layer to increase the ability of the plant to absorb the water and nutrients. If we have a look at a root with a bit of cutaway, we can see, again, the structures that increase its ability to absorb water and nutrients. So we have the root hairs, and we have the xylem in the middle, and then we have the phloem on the outside. So the water comes in through the root hairs between the epidermal cells into the xylem and then up. The structures are generally cylindrical and round, and that increases the surface area again. It's just a shape that has a large surface area. So that increases the ability to absorb water and nutrients from the soil. So the roots connect back into the shoot system at the stem, and they can transport the water and nutrients to the rest of the plant through that stem. We can see here, this is a palm tree. We can see these are roots that are growing above ground, but they're joining in at the stem here, and then that goes up to make the rest of the tree. Over here we can see some agricultural plants, and we can see those structures. So here we have a taproot, which is a carrot. What you're eating in a carrot is the root of the carrot, and that's the taproot. Here you have a sunflower. It's a taproot as well, but then it's not much of a root before it spreads out. If you have a look at oats and all your grasses, so wheat as well, they have these big fibrous roots so that they can absorb lots and lots of water from the soil. So today on Flippin Science, we looked at root structure and xylem. That's it for Flippin Science today. See ya.